we're focusing on the guy that you need to have, most likely, unless you have a great all-time elite defense, you need the quarterback in play to contend for a conference championship. Tonight, we're looking at Miami, Virginia Tech, Clemson, Michigan, and also we go to the Big Ten. And Ben Ross from Black Heart, Gold Pants with the Iowa Hawkeyes. You can catch him on SB Nation covering Iowa athletics. Ben, thanks for joining us tonight.
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. We're dragging you into football season. I know you're probably thinking basketball and what the Hawkeyes need to do to get to the NCAA tournament. How are the Hawkeyes doing in hoops this time of year?
Not great. There's some learning curves. They're starting 4 true freshmen along with Peter Jock. The lone senior on this team was getting significant minutes. They're not even a lock for the NIT, in my opinion, right now. They're on a 2-game skid at the moment, but hopefully they can get it together with they have an ailing Illinois squad coming to cover Hawkeye this Saturday. Hopefully we get the first win in a couple of weeks there.
Okay, very good. Now we're going to talk football because that's all we do here on Mark Rogers TV. But I love the Big Ten hoops, and I'll be locked in here in a couple of weeks when we hit the conference tournament, which is probably in Indianapolis, as it typically is. I'm going to guess. The last time we saw C.J. Beathard, unfortunately, he was being battered and bruised by the Florida Gator defense to the tune of 4 interceptions, 55 yards passing, completed like 8 of 23. I hate to take you back through it, Ben, because I thought after the way the Hawkeyes performed down the stretch against the likes of Michigan and Nebraska that they were going to put on a good show in the bowl game, and it was competitive until late in the third quarter, and then it got away from them. So before we set up the quarterback situation, your thoughts about the program, where it stands right now as we transition from 2016 into 17?
I think, thanks for bringing up those harsh memories, but, something I don't need any help remembering. Honestly, I think the program's in a really good position for success right now. We have Brian Ferentz coming in to run the offense. Iowa fans and anybody with a pair of eyes can see that the Iowa offense is getting very stale, very predictable under Greg Davis. And so, what a better way to replace an offensive coordinator with the head coach's son. So we have Brian Ferentz hopefully making some changes. He can get in his father's ear and tell him, not to telegraph read sweeps going to the left side of the field anymore. And hopefully I was brought in 3 new coaches now too. We just hired 2 coaches yesterday. It became official. We got a wide receivers coach out of Northern Illinois. And NIU has always had prolific passing games. And then we have a new offensive line coach, the former offensive coordinator out of NDSU, who, if you recall, beat Iowa in Kinnick Stadium this year. So if you can't beat them, hire them, and make them teach you how to run an offense is the way we're going to see this as. And I think sky's the limit right now. I think spirits are high. We've got a lot of good pieces returning. And there is a lot more, I think, more things to be happy about than negative right now.
Yeah, on the bright side in the Western Division in the Big Ten, there is no dominant program. On the downside, there are a lot of good programs. So Iowa's just kind of in the mix with Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin themselves. You've typically got a 4-team race there in the Big Ten Western Division, and Northwestern, sometimes a wild card, can play themselves into contention. Ben, let's lock in on this quarterback position. We talked about C.J. Beathard. I got to think that you're pleased with what he did and his accomplishments there at Iowa. I believe he holds a number of records. I did see a statistic late in his career about winning percentage. He was extremely high on the list of quarterback winning percentage, if not number one, something in the 21-9 range, something off the top of my head like that. But obviously he's going to take his wares to the NFL, where he hopes to be drafted and stick with the team. Nathan Stanley is the name that I'm hearing as a sophomore who's in line to win the job. Is this a battle, or does he have the clear-cut path?
Coaches would obviously tell you a battle, but I think we all see it's a clear-cut path. Behind Beathard on the roster this year, it was Tyler Wiegers, who is a true sophomore, and then Nathan Stanley, who's a true freshman, and then Drew Cook, who is a redshirt freshman. And everyone thought that Wiegers would be the one getting the garbage minutes, and he would be the clear-cut number 2. But no, in garbage time against Iowa State, Nathan Stanley was the first one to come out, And then CJ got hobbled against NDSU he missed a couple of plays. And again, it was Stanley who was out running the offense, the 18-year-old out of Menominee, Wisconsin. So I think that says a little bit about his abilities, and also says a lot about Wiegers' abilities, or maybe lack thereof, that the coaches were, it's very uncommon for Kirk Ferentz and this coaching staff to put a true freshman out on the field in any position, even kicker or punter. They're very reluctant to put a teenager out on a football field. So I think that says a lot about Nathan Stanley's abilities. And I think you'll ask anybody, he sort of holds the keys to the offense right now.
I know it probably doesn't matter, but as I'm watching the Gators and the Hawkeyes and the game starting to get out of hand, I'm thinking, where's the backup quarterback? CJ Beathard is not in good shape. He seems like a wounded duck out there, and he seems like he's a sitting duck. And maybe not knowing at the time who the guy in place was. It's obviously Nathan Stanley, most likely. He could have been out there. What do you think about that?
Start of the third, start of the second half, and even start of the fourth quarter, Iowa was in a position to possibly come back and win this game. You could talk all about how CJ deserved to be out there. It was a lifetime achievement award for keeping it in. Kirk even said that he wasn't going to pull CJ, but I think not only was CJ a hazard to Iowa winning the game, he was a hazard to his own health by staying out there, by staying in the game. And I think that was a really, really, really poor coaching decision on the part of Ferentz. I understand all that CJ has done for this program, but it's his job to win football games, and he clearly couldn't win that football game. And Iowa would have at least had a modicum of a chance of winning the game with a different signal caller in the backfield there.
All right, Nathan Stanley again, sophomore season, looks to be the heir apparent to C.J. Beathard at Iowa City. Threw all of 6 passes last year. Did complete 5 in garbage time against North Dakota State in particular. Ben Ross joining us from Black Heart, Gold Pants, SB Nation, Iowa Athletics. Drawing him away from the basketball court just briefly to talk some Iowa football, and hopefully, Ben, we can get you back on here real soon to break down some positions heading to spring camp.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Ben, we appreciate the time. Have a good night.
Thank you, too.